Calendix here, and in the previous video I mentioned one way that a person can have a higher quality of life, have more freedom, even if they don't have a lot of savings. And in a previous video I kind of offered an overview of 3 options. So I already talked about one option, and I want to talk about a second option. Now, this second option is actually one of the more common ones, but there are so many opportunities within this realm, and that is working abroad. Some people may say, they don't want to do a certain, let's say they tried applying for U.S. companies that was offering remote job opportunities. Maybe they didn't like that. Maybe they didn't have a diverse skill set. So in that situation, you have to consider other options. And many people go on to work abroad. And the most common path of working abroad is they may do TEFL, which is or TESOL, teaching English as a foreign language. And a person can do quite well with that, but it really depends on which country they're working in. So, for example, if you work in Latin America and you're teaching English, you're going to make enough to live there, probably relatively well, better than the locals, of course, but you're not going to make enough money to probably be able to save money. If the wages there, even if they pay you above average compared to the local wages, it's still not going to be enough for you to save. We have these other countries, like countries in the Middle East, certain European countries, even places in Asia. This is where teaching English can actually become a career for any English-speaking native. Now, typically, the qualifications, or the most common qualification people have, is a TEFL certificate. There are so many TEFL course providers out there that you could just go to Google and you could find dozens of different options. In the past, I did teach English, and even though I was hired before I even had the certificate, I took the course just so I could be better prepared. But they already offered me the job, without even having a certificate. And I was quite surprised because the client was Coca-Cola, which is a global client. But networking, having a good network, that definitely works in your favor. Nonetheless, a TEFL course can range in cost. You can get one that's low cost, you can get one that's significantly more expensive. The very glorified type of certificate for teaching English as a foreign language is called CELTA, CELTA, and some schools actually require that. It's like the gold standard of a TEFL certificate. And then you have the Delta, which is like a master's degree of TEFL, But also another thing is to keep in mind is if you want to make any significant amount of money, or at least make enough money so you can also not only live well but to be able to save, it's probably going to require you to have a bachelor's degree. And that's definitely the case in places like the Middle East, many European countries, certain cities in China. You're definitely going to need a bachelor's degree. Now, again, if you want to teach English as a foreign language, there's so many opportunities that you can do so with anything. You can even teach English as a foreign language without a TEFL certificate. without even a degree. But that's something to keep in mind, which in essence, many schools, depending on the school, but on average, you probably only will work 30 hours a week. And, it's kind of like, especially like if you're the only foreigner, like whether it's for a company or a school, if you're the only foreigner and you're doing it um, in a city and where like there's not a lot of foreigners, you essentially become exotic, which is actually, if you like a lot of attention, that could be quite fun. Quite interesting. As your students, they'll typically offer you to hang out with them after work, and you're able to increase your network. So, but if let's say teaching English is not your thing, you can definitely look for other job opportunities and where you can still leverage your English fluency. Okay, so when it comes to tourism, there's a lot of exotic countries, and where it's very attractive to Europeans, Americans, Australians, but sometimes those countries, they lack English speakers, or sometimes they have English speakers, but the English is not good. That's something to keep in mind as well. They can hire you, and you can definitely be, be in a position in where not only you can make money, but you can also do a job that you would enjoy, whether it's rafting or whether it's at a ski resort. There's so many options. But that's something I want you to keep in mind. Now, if you speak the local language, whether it's Spanish, French, Mandarin, Russian, well, that also gives you opportunities to actually work the same jobs that the locals there work. Now, obviously, you want to scale up. So if you're an American, currency is a U.S. dollar, you want to try to work somewhere and where the exchange rate gives you more U.S. dollars, which makes your currency more valuable, allowing you to save more money. If you're watching this video and you're from a place like South Africa, then working in the U.S. or working in China can definitely make you significantly more money because of the currency differences. That's something I want you to keep in mind, as it's my intention for you to reach the finish line. If you want to know more about how you can do that, be sure to go to reachingthefinishline.com. Be curious to hear your thoughts, but until next time, I hope you're reaching your finish line.